university. And they renamed it, but they still, meaning they, the University of California system, are complicit in the settlements and displacements of indigenous peoples all over the world. So let us not forget the land that we're currently residing on, which is Congo land. Yeah. And also, if you're not familiar, I don't know if anyone has ever noticed, right next to, there's like these engravements right there and right here that have UCLA endowments. And a lot of those endowments are companies that are complicit in the ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people. And a lot of those companies are also weapons manufacturer companies. Why are weapon manufacturer companies giving money to the UC? Why are they continuing this financial and academic relationship with weapon manufacturers? Companies that are complicit in the killing and displacement of people all around the world, from Palestine to the Philippines and from Palestine to El Salvador. So yeah, that is why we chose this place today to start off the action. And thank you guys for coming and showing up today again and again and again. And with that being said, I'm going to pass it off to Sadiq McBeasy. He is a UCLA professor and one of the best, coolest faculty of all time. And he will be also speaking with other people, a part of SJP. But yeah, with that, give it a round of applause to
Thank you. I'm not that cool, but and this isn't a fun occasion either. Really, if we should think about it. The word Nakba in Arabic means catastrophe, and for Palestinians, it represents the catastrophe that befell them in 1948. When they went from living in their own homeland to being either refugees, almost all of them ended up being refugees, 90% of them ended up being refugees, or remaining in their homeland as second or third or fourth class citizens in their own land. And that sense of dispossession is what's summoned in the word Nakba, the word catastrophe. It's important to remember that although we use the date May 15th more or less arbitrarily to depict we say that that's Nakba Day, to commemorate Nakba Day. The Nakba is, as we were saying before, not something that started and stopped in May 15, 1940. It's something that began even before May 15, 1948. It began with the slow ethnic cleansing of Palestine, really beginning in January and February of 1948. A series of massacres undertaken by Zionist forces in January and February 1948. March 1948, April 1948, massacres including Deir Yassin, the most infamous massacre, Tantura, other massacres that continued up and down Palestine in 1948 to encourage Palestinians to flee for their lives, to take their children and run for their lives. 800,000 Palestinians were driven from their homes in terror by Zionist forces in 1948. That's when Palestinians say Nakba, they mean in a way that event. But the Nakba has continued ever since. The Nakba continues every single time a Palestinian family is forced from their home in East Jerusalem because they're not given a building permit to build a home, and their home is demolished by the Israeli authorities, which refuse to grant Palestinians the permit to build on their own land, while doing everything possible to build Jewish settlements for people who are coming from places like New York or Canada or Europe or Australia. Right? So the indigenous people are not given the right to build, and new immigrants are given instead land on places to live on stolen land, and so forth. The Nakba continues every single time a Palestinian resident of East Jerusalem is told that her residency papers no longer apply because, for example, she spent a year at a university in the United States, and therefore she was not always continuously living in East Jerusalem, which, as far as the Israeli state is concerned, is grounds to revoke her Jerusalem residency and tell her to leave the city in which she was born forever, never to be allowed to return. Whereas at the same time, people who are Jewish, who are coming from New York or Canada or wherever else in the world, are given the right to live in the city from which this person was just expelled, even though she was born there. The Nakba continues every single time the village of Deria of Araqib in the south of the Nakab Desert is demolished. The village of Araqib was demolished for the first time by Israeli authorities in 2010. It has since been demolished over 200 times since that first demolition in 2010. The same little town of about 1,000 people demolished again and again and again and again by the same state because they're not supposed to be living on their own land. And of course, above all, right now, the Nakba happens every single time a new Palestinian child is killed in Gaza. A family in Gaza is killed. A school in Gaza is destroyed. A home in Gaza is demolished. A university, every single university in Gaza has been demolished, is destroyed. That represents for Palestinians the continuation of the Nakba. So we have to think of the Nakba, even though we use the date May 15th to commemorate the Nakba, it's not something that's tied to May 15, 1948. It's something that we could think of, or we should think of as ongoing. And then we have to think of it, of course, in terms of our own responsibility. The genocide unfolding in Gaza is something that we, as American citizens, we pay for it through our taxes. Our government supports it. Our universities and institutions, whether they want to or not, whether they acknowledge it or not, support it through the network of institutional, financial, administrative, and other kinds of arrangements that make it seem like it's normal. Genocide is not normal, and we have to do everything we can to stop the genocide in Gaza right now and to bring the ongoing Nakba to an end. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Genevieve and I would like to begin by sharing a little bit of my father's story as a result of the ongoing Nakba. My father was born in Lafidia, a small Christian village right outside of Nablus. Growing up, not only was my father a witness to the horrific Zionist atrocities, but his mere survival on a day-to-day basis was threatened. From simply being a young boy playing in the streets while being watched by the Israeli occupation forces, to armed IOF raids where soldiers came up to my father with rifles while he was working in a hospital. He was constantly escaping death. At the age of 21, my father had to make the difficult decision of leaving his home behind and moving to Los Angeles because he knew it was only a matter of time before he would end up killed or in prison for constantly resisting and fighting to protect his homeland. As we all know, these terrorist attacks by the Zionist regime do not spare anyone. They do not differentiate between Muslims and Christians and Jews alike. On October 19, 2023, St. Porphyrius, the third oldest church in the world, was hit by an airstrike, resulting in 18 deaths and several injuries. This Greek Orthodox church has traditionally served as a sanctuary for both Christians and Muslims during Israel's periodic wars against Gaza. This was not an attack on religion, it was an attack on sacred Palestinian land. Just as the murder of the Christian Palestinian journalist Shireen Abu Akleh was not an attack on religion, but an attack on Palestinians, for no other reason than to carry out their Zionist agenda. Shireen was killed by an Israeli sniper while reporting on a raid of a refugee camp in Jenin. Both Shireen and her colleague were wearing protective blue vests and helmets that identified them as members of the news media, but that never stopped them. Even with death, Palestinians do not experience peace. We aren't able to properly grieve our loved ones. As Shireen's body left St. Joseph's Hospital, Israeli police attacked the funeral procession, nearly forcing pallbearers to drop her coffin. Israeli forces seized Palestinian flags from mourners and later smashed the window of the hearse carrying Abu Akleh's body and removed the Palestinian flag. I pray that one day we will be able to go home to a free Palestine and that I will be able to celebrate Christmas in the Church of the Nativity and Easter in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, as well as my Muslim brother and sisters to be able to celebrate their respective Eids, praying in Allah.
Hello everyone, I want to introduce myself. My name is Miriam, and I'll be opening with an excerpt from a poem from Fasid Mujahideen. He says, "We have always been the displaced children of displaced children, tethered by distant rivers to abandoned lands, our blood's history lost. To temper the grief, Imagine your father's last breath as a Mughal garden. Marble pool at its center, the mirrored sky holding all his tribe has lost. The rim of this porcelain cup is chipped, so sip with practiced caution. Even a trace of blood will copper the flavor, the respite of the tea now lost. Wayat Fisan, with what new surrender you can evade deeper damnation. Whatever it is, hack away before your children too become lost. Today, May 15th, is Nakba Remembrance Day. I want to take a moment to understand what the word Nakba means. Nakba in Arabic translates to the catastrophe. And truly, what better way to describe the destruction of 78% of my homeland in 1948 and massive ethnic cleansing of 80% of the population. It is imperative we remember that this is a continual process of colonization, dispossession, and murder. We must remember that the atrocities of the past 6 months have been an increase in violence, not an emergence of it. Displaced children are familiar with the stories of destruction. I have clumsily grown around my grief, leaving a cavity in my chest for rage and anger to fester until it has become actionable. I often think of the Arabic word qahr. Khadija Dajani explains that it is not quite anger, but when you take rage, place it on a low fire, add injustice, oppression, racism, dehumanization to it, and leave it to slow cook for a century. And then you say it, but nobody hears you, so it sits in your heart, and it settles in your cells, and it becomes your genetic imprint. You weep, and the cycle repeats. My father's memories of Palestine are moments of violence undercut by memories of the sea. I have found myself waist deep in cold ocean water, jeans scrunched, mesbaha in hand, incapable of articulation more times than I can count, but I remember, to every unutterable thing buried in your heart, to every miraculous truth teetering on the tip of your tongue, yes, yes, Ameen. I want us to confront the forms our grief takes. When someone is martyred in Palestine, the funeral transitions into a protest. I think a lot of the funeral of Shireen Abu Akleh, the Palestinian journalist who was assassinated by the Zionist state in 2022. Even in death, she was not allowed peace. Her funeral procession was interrupted by Zionist police that attacked mourners with batons and stun grenades, resulting in her coffin nearly falling on the ground. Her coffin. This is the reality of the occupation 2 years ago. I read this testimony from a Palestinian on the ground yesterday, and I have to share it with you all. Today, I found my son's head, 10 days after finding his body. I am now carrying it to his grave, my heart pounding with joy. Today, I can give him a complete death. Today, I can weep for him as I should. It is these examples that remind us in the West that having a body to bury is a privilege. Mourning a body that hasn't been shredded is a privilege. To be able to perform a ghusl on a body before it rots is a privilege. Which of us have the time to process? Truly. Let this radicalize you rather than lead you to despair. Palestinian funerals are places of protest. This is why we chose to open our action today with grief. The Palestinian people continually remind us that grief and rage are actionable. Our grief is not one that debilitates us, but is our driving force. Grief is just love that has nowhere to go, but for Palestinians, we have drawn on the strength of our elders. We have stood on the shoulders of giants, and we have found direction for our love, the love of our homeland, the love for our people, the love for the sea. It reminds us that we persist and we remain steadfast. Even the coffin resists. Even the soul of my soul resists. This year, the Nakba Remembrance Day comes against the backdrop of the ongoing genocide in Gaza. With over 43,000 Palestinians murdered or buried under the rubble, this Nakba Day is a stark reminder that the Nakba is not a distant memory, but an ongoing reality. Through our grief, we will resist, and we will bear witness that Palestine is the qibla of the revolutionaries. I want to walk us through a chant that translates to, with our souls, with our blood, we will free you, Palestine. So it's This is to remind us that decolonization is not a metaphor. It's not abstract academic theory. It is actionable. It comes through our grief. So, بالروح بالدم نفديك يا فلسطين. بالروح بالدم نفديك يا فلسطين. Thank you guys. Thank you all for opening it up with that. And for this, the next speaker will be Students for Justice in Palestine, and yeah, here we go. Sorry.
Hello, I am speaking on behalf of SJP, but also, of course, on behalf of myself. As we know, we are here today to commemorate the Nakba, the catastrophe marking 76 years since the official violent start of the dispossession of Palestinians. My family lived in Jaffa. My grandfather was 11 years old during the Nakba in 1948 when his family lost their land, displaced and dispersed. Bearing witness to the massacres of the time at Deir Yazin, where Zionists attacked the village, killing over 100 Palestinians. Where Zionist soldiers ordered a Palestinian baker to throw his son into a burning oven, and when he refused, they knocked him to the ground and made him watch as his baby burned to death in his own oven before throwing him in next. My grandfather, stripped of his home, was lucky enough to be awarded a scholarship to study at Purdue University. In the absence of land capital, Palestinians turned towards social capital, understanding the value and necessity of education in the face of this erasure. Academia became a gateway for Palestinians to enter American society. My grandfather embodied this. He lived by the fact that your knowledge, your access to education is your greatest tool. He went on to become a professor and researcher. I sit here today and wonder the emotions he would confront if I told him how his contributions to academia, to the study of electrical engineering, were going to be applied towards killing his people, his family, those of whom remaining in Palestine were killed this fall by the IOF. Now I confront this in my immediate family, as my parents text me that they cannot support me if I am disrupting my education, that this is not what he would have wanted for me. But my education is not mine, is not teaching me anything, so long as I understand that it is that same education serving to kill my people. And this understanding, this is something the institution does not want you to have, because they lack the imagination necessary to create a world in which education empowers students through applied knowledge, instead of passively feeding information while their corporation funds genocide. For Palestinians, the Nakba is relentless and recurring. It is the present tense, it is everywhere on the map, but it is not inevitable. We know its culprit, Zionism. Zionism is an ideology of dispossession, an ideology of violence that we felt here. Violence is impoverishing for the ones who practice it as much as for the ones that endure it. I feel sorry for Zionists and how far they position themselves from love. But let's focus on ourselves. It's easy to accept this endless catastrophe as a reality, to become complacent in these cycles of violence, to only view Palestine through violence. Our eyes rarely encounter Palestine before the Israeli regime, a Palestine defined not by its ailments, but by its cultures, its music, its poetry. Palestine's history does not begin in catastrophe, but it is unfortunately brought to us now through a catastrophic lens, so we must act under this sense of urgency, while also maintaining the patience to look beyond the now, to look far before 48 and far after 2024, and ask ourselves what that world can look like, and what we can do to create that world. Remember that we keep us safe, and safety is agency. The liberation of Palestine is not the start or end of what we are fighting for here. For all the stories you know, there is an ocean of those untold, of genocides with less visibility that we must equally dedicate ourselves to. Thank you.
Sorry, not really good with logistical stuff. Okay. Okay, I'll introduce the next speaker. Students for Justice in Palestine is also a part of this coalition called UC Divest. So with that, I'll introduce the next speaker and a friend of mine.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Okay. I'll set us up with some chants. Can everyone on the sides here, y'all can gather closer. Let's be together. Let us be a beautiful, happy crowd. You can't hide.
You can't hide.
We charge you with genocide.
We charge you with genocide.
You can't hide.
You can't hide.
We charge you with genocide.
We charge you with genocide.
Disclose, divest. We will not stop. We will not rest.
Disclose, divest. We will not stop. We will not rest.
Disclose, divest. We will not stop. We will not rest.
Disclose, divest. We will not stop. We will not rest.
Woo! Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming out today. My name is Ty, and I'll be speaking on behalf of the UCLA Divest Coalition, which has helped to organize this rally along with all of our member organizations and the UAW 4811 academic workers in commemoration of 76 years of the ongoing Nakba and 76 years of brutal occupation of the Palestinian people. The UC Divest Coalition is a cross-campus coalition of organizations both on and off campus at 5 UCs who recognize that the University of California is not only complicit in the ongoing genocide and repression in Palestine and globally, but is active perpetrators of it, and who recognize our role as those in the belly of the beast to weaken our university as an institution serving the interests of U.S. imperialism and to thus weaken the Zionist entity itself and all imperialist entities. In much shorter terms, we are students and community members from many different struggles and movements that include the fight for justice in education for students of color, the fight for just working conditions for student and career workers, the international fight for liberation in Palestine, the Philippines, and much more. And we are united in the firm belief that where our university is funding the weapons used in genocide, contributing research to develop these weapons, and colluding with the police who use these weapons and train with those genocidal entities, we have the responsibility to resist. And the responsibility to demand that the University of California divest from violence and reinvest in us. I am a resident assistant in a freshman dorm building here at UCLA, which means I'm responsible for keeping my residents safe and connecting them with resources that will allow them to succeed and thrive in their time at UCLA. In this job, I have disabled residents who struggle with the lack of academic and housing accommodations because the CAE is understaffed and underfunded. I have first-gen residents who struggle with a heightened imposter syndrome due to the lack of support in learning how to navigate this exclusive and inaccessible university. I have low-income residents who miss days of school at a time because they have to work to feed themselves and their families. I have Muslim, Arab, and Palestinian residents who struggle with heightened surveillance and constant threats of violence from Zionist classmates and strangers. I have trans residents who cannot afford necessary gender-affirming healthcare because they cannot afford UC SHIP. And I have residents who were arrested last week, residents who faced off with the 5th largest police force in the world, who were bear maced the day before that, who have been hit with bricks and fireworks and rubber bullets, and then have been villainized by their own university as terrorist sympathizers and outside agitators. And I returned to my dorm after living in the encampment last week to group me messages from these brave peers of mine, thanking me for having been present in these moments. And I ask myself over and over again, how do I keep these people safe when their university would let them die? I fight with the UC Divest Coalition because I recognize that we are stronger, not only in numbers, but in organized numbers. We are stronger when we have a shared vision and shared goals, when we can learn from each other, when we can train and empower each other, and when we can build a safety and community for one another where the university refuses. And I fight with the UC Divest Coalition for a free Palestine. I fight for the UC Divest Coalition for the working class, for my undocumented peers, for my disabled peers, for my queer peers of color. I fight with you all because when we fight, we win. Repeat after me, when we fight, we win. 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 Because our university cannot refuse forever. On Nakba Day, we are remembering 76 years of brutal occupation, 76 years of genocide, 76 years of imprisonment and repression, and forced starvation and carpet bombing and settler colonialism, but we are also remembering 76 years of resistance. We are recognizing that as long as the Palestinian people are alive, they are stronger than the Zionist occupation forces because they dare live another day and keep fighting. And that the struggle lives on because the struggle is bigger than any one of us. We are recognizing that our struggle is interconnected to that of Palestinian people, but that our struggles are a microcosm of what they have been forced to endure, and that we have no choice but to stand here, arms linked, barricaded, gas masked up, whatever it takes to end the occupation from the stolen land upon which we stand. And so I urge you to join us. If you are in an organization that believes in divestment and the end to violence everywhere, become a member of our coalition. And if you are a person who believes in divestment and an end to violence, join one of those organizations. We are strong where they are weak, we are brave where they are cowardly, and we keep each other safe no matter what they throw at us. When I say you say divest, you see?
Divest!
You see?
Divest!
When I say divest, you say now! Divest!
Now!
Divest!
Now!
When I say you say divest, you see?
Divest!
You see?
Divest!
When I say divest, you say now! Divest!
Now!
Divest!
Now!
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys again. Next speaker will be an assistant professor here. No, PhD student. Sorry, guys. I am not well. No. Anyways, yeah, a PhD student here who teaches an Armenian dance class, and she will be giving a speech and a workshop today. Give it up for Natalie.
Beautiful crowd, how you feeling, everybody? Okay, I have a few words to share, and then I'm gonna invite those of you who are interested in dancing to join. All right, so I am a unionized graduate student worker and a PhD student in the World Art and Cultures and Dance Department. More importantly, I am a great-granddaughter of genocide survivors who, as children, fled brutal massacres and forced deportations from their ancestral lands of Aintab and Shabin Karyasar, lands currently occupied by Turkey. With a family history that is weaved with stories of displacement and genocide, my heart will forever be in the struggle for a free Palestine. Similar to how the Nakba is known as the catastrophe, Armenians refer to the Armenian genocide, which resulted in the murder of over 1.5 million Armenians as Mez Yeren, or the Great Crime. Both the Nakba and Mez Yeren are not events frozen in history. They are ongoing violent processes of colonial violence. The parallels are chilling. Just 1 week after the petro-rich authoritarian ethno-state of Azerbaijan forcibly exiled 120,000 blockaded, starving Armenians from their ancestral homes in Artsakh, the genocidal onslaught started in Gaza. While Azerbaijani dictator Aliyev was calling Armenians cockroaches who needed to be chased out like dogs, Israeli officials referred to Palestinians as human animals and children of darkness. These dehumanizing tactics are as material as they are rhetorical. As Israel supplies Azerbaijan with 70% of their battle-tested weapons and spyware technology. Folks, these are the same weapons that have stolen the lives of 35,000 Palestinians in Gaza. And they are the same ones that were launched against Armenians in Artsakh under the guise of, you guessed it, anti-terrorism operations. Shame. So as an Armenian, I know deep in my bones that with the downfall of Zionism also will come the downfall of Pan-Turkism, a violent ideology that murders my people and expels us from our lands. And this brings me to the most important point, that of resistance. As a dance scholar, I deeply understand the role that moving and dancing bodies have in how we mobilize ourselves politically and in how we resist and imagine a new world. So today, I'm extremely honored to share with you an Armenian social dance that carries sentiments of resistance and survival, that reminds us where we come from and where we are going towards liberation. I'm sure many of you have heard of Dabke. Dabke is a prominent social dance throughout the Levant, but it holds a special significance for Palestinians as it has been used as a form of cultural resistance against the Zionist entity. This Armenian dance, called Musaleran Dabki, borrows the term Dabke, which means to stomp with the feet. So this dance indexes the Battle of Musaler, which was the most significant act of resistance during the Armenian genocide, where a small group of villagers chose to resist rather than obey deportation orders, and they fought the Ottoman army for 2 months. This dance is a solidarity offering from all of us to remember our everyday acts of resistance and our collective struggle here on this campus and beyond, which will bring us closer to a free Palestine. Palestine hurra! Okay, here's what we're gonna do. For those who are interested in dancing, I invite you to come towards the center. For those of you who would just like to watch, you can spread out towards the back or kind of come up here, whatever feels good for you. But I ask that everyone form a circle. It's very easy. It's stomping and stepping. So give me a nice circle. You can face me and open up as a circle. All right, perfect. All right, beautiful. Okay, who's ready to dance? Who am I looking at? All right. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna turn around. Maybe I can. All right, folks. So everyone show me how to measure. All right. Stop. Left foot in front. Left foot a little bit to the left. Left foot in front. Left foot a little bit to the left. Then you take that left foot. And you take that left foot and you cross it in the front. And we're going to do what we call the Spanak in Armenian, which is really just a knee spring like this. Yeah. So you're going to do that as you're walking. So we go 1, 2, then out 2 with the right. Then left 2 cross, right. So you're all going to go towards the right. Does that make sense? All right. Yeah, can everyone take 3 big steps back? Yes, you can just come here, but just wait a second until Oh, thank you. All right. You ready? So left foot stomps forward, then to the left, then forward, then to the left. Then we cross 1, 2, then out 2, then 1, 2, then out 2. Cycle starts again. Stomp. Left. Stomp. Now, thank you. So the most important part of this, okay, is the fact that you all are going to be very tightly connected to one another, okay? So this is a really important aspect of a lot of social dances from the Levant and from the Swana region, is close connection. So everyone take your left hand
And you're gonna interlace your fingers with the person to your left. So like this. Okay, now you're gonna get really close. So everyone take 2 steps in. So you're gonna be totally interlaced. Can I use you as a sample? Alright, so right here, look. So you have shoulder like really up in here. So the arms are 90 degrees to the ground. Yes, love it. So as you do those, the spanaks, let's try it. Left, right, left. No, that's a left, whatever. Don't listen to me, just go. 2, 3, 4. You feel that the spanak hit each other? That's it. Okay, let's go. together. Recongregate, come together.
Yeah. Hello, folks. My name is Roberto Mendoza, and I'm Native American and Chicano. And of course, our people have suffered many Nakbas and many genocides in the founding of this country, and especially badly here in California. The California natives suffered huge genocide. They had people going out and shooting them for money. And then they took over their land, of course. So when people ask me about what's going on in Gaza, I say, that's pretty familiar, you know? We've lived it too. And sometimes, in some ways, it's still going on. And what I would like to tell you is that there is a way out of this, but it has to start in your own thinking and in your own minds. We have to start by getting rid of the nasty, vicious, capitalist values that are colonizing in our heads. And that's what happened to unfortunately, that's what happened to the people in Israel, is that they've been colonized by settler colonialism, white supremacy, imperialism, all of those nasty things that allow them to do what they're doing. But that can change. It's going to take a long time. But I spend my time going around the country talking about indigenous values versus capitalist values, because they're very, very different. They're almost the opposite of each other. But as Native people, we lived in harmony in this land. We weren't perfect, of course, but we did not do things like slaughter whole cities, create huge weapons that killed instantly thousands of people instantly, like these bombs in Gaza. So we have some things, some knowledge about how to get along with each other, but also how to get along with the earth and the animals. Because you hear us saying, we're all related. Everything is our relative. The animals, the plants, the fish, the birds, they're all related to us. And we're not superior to them. We depend on them. And we, as human beings, should be taking care of them too. But we're not, because our minds have been colonized by capitalist values of individualism, greed, treating the land as just something to steal from, and getting us to not help each other work together, because that, as long as we don't help each other and work together, we'll never make real change. So they always talk about individualism. That's one of their 5 primary value systems, is individualism. But right now we're showing this is not an individualist thing. This is a collective, community thing. And that's our strength. One of the things I've learned about studying indigenous values is that the true source of happiness is not material things. Like our chiefs were really poor, and our people were so-called poor. But we got our happiness from love, respect, and care for each other. That's the real source of happiness, good relationships. But not only that, but good relationships with the land, the water, the air, the plants, the animals. We had to have good relationships with all of these. We were practicing ecology before the word was discovered by Europeans. So I would like to let you know that the first step in this new revolution, and it's going to be a revolution, but it's not going to be like the old style revolutions where you storm the Capitol and take over the government. We're past that. We don't want to do that. We're more following the example of the Zapatistas in Mexico. And the people in Rojava who do not want to create a state, because states are inherently top-down, authoritarian, and centralized. So, what this new movement is doing, and it's happening here in the United States too, with the so-called symbiosis movement, which I'm a part of, is that we have to go back to direct democracy. And that means people come together like right now, and they make the decisions. They don't let Congress or representatives make the decisions. They make the decisions, and their representatives just carry them out. That's direct democracy. We have to go back to that, because right now we have a form of democracy that is really more like plutocracy, ruled by the rich. They make the rules. And we have to get away from that. But we can. So I would like to let you know that I'm going to be writing a book about this, and I also write on medium.com. You can find my article. I have some of them here. Obviously don't have enough copies. But it's called, one of the main articles is called Answering Martin Luther King's Call for a Radical Revolution of Values, because that's what inspired me to do the work that I'm doing. When he said, we as a nation must undergo a radical revolution of values. And what he meant by that is that we have to, wasn't able to really follow through on that more, and I took it upon myself to do that. But what I saw that what had to happen is that we have to decolonize our minds from those values, because we were all brought up under them, including myself. You know, we're not born with these values, but they were forced upon to us. And even my own people, we have to decolonize ourselves too. But it can be done. And you are starting to do it right now, because you're acting on values. And values are like the foundation of the house. Everything is built on your values. And this new movement has to be built on different values. And they have to be clear about what those values are. And I'm working on that. And you can follow me on medium.com. And I'm hoping that I take my seminar all around the country, because I want to make sure that this revolution is based on good values. So, thank you all, because you're doing what is necessary, but we got to get beyond this.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for added analysis. Yes, amazing. Okay, the next person we're going to have is my dear, lovely friend Hannah, who is going to be speaking on behalf of the International League of People's Struggle. This is an alliance that the UC Divest Coalition is also a part of. We are united in similar demands of ending imperialism around the world. And we are also part of the Resist US-Led War campaign, which is another campaign that is, resisting U.S.-led war, around the world, including ending militarism. So one thing I will say very briefly is that there's something called RIMPAC that is coming up very soon this year in the summer. RIMPAC is this basically like arms show for where the United States, Israel, and many other countries come and basically just show off all of their cool weapons equipment, and it's very much an intimidation tactic to show the rest of the world that they have these strong military powers and stuff like that. We want to shut that shit down. So this summer, UC Divest and ILPS and the Resist US-Led War Coalition, we will all be fighting over the summer. So keep engaged, keep ready, because we want to make sure that militarism our fight against militarism doesn't just end when the school year ends, but it continues. This fight doesn't end soon. So I will bring up my friend Hannah from IOPS.
Hi everyone, my name is Hannah, and I have the pleasure to speak on behalf of the International League of People's Struggles, also known as ILPS. As a representative in the Alliance for the Student Labor Advocacy Project here at UCLA. As an anti-imperialist alliance dedicated to advancing and uplifting the democratic struggles of people around the world, ILPS condemns the UC's repression tactics against students and workers who continue to denounce the Zionist entity's ongoing genocide and demand the end to our complicity in the genocide. Over the past few months, we have seen the movement for divestment and Palestinian liberation grow immensely, but so has the degree of repression on behalf of institutions. As we know, today marks the 76th year since the beginning of the ongoing Nakba that Palestinians are living. As we speak, the Zionist entity continues its genocidal onslaught in Gaza, yet again displacing and cornering more than a million Palestinians in Rafah. This past Monday, a graduating student at UCLA filed a class action lawsuit against the Palestine Solidarity Encampment, labeling the community that came together as campus terrorists. By calling us terrorists, they try to justify their attacks against us to keep the masses divided, confused about who our true common enemy is, and vulnerable to relentless violence from the empire and its allied puppet regimes. By calling us terrorists, they attempt to erase the fact that U.S. imperialism is a true threat to people everywhere. But we know that our unity is the biggest threat to U.S. imperialism. The encampment was a space for collective education, shared meals, and communal resources, despite the verbal and physical violence we face from Zionists every day and every night. In the same way that we defend the righteousness of Palestinian resistance against Zionist settlers who cheer on and reap the benefits of displacement and genocide, we also uplift the right of every student and community member who came together to call for the liberation of Palestine and who stood their ground through 2 nights of attacks from the combined forces of Zionists, the UC administration, and the militarized police. In the 221 days since Al-Aqsa flood, more than 5,000 Palestinians have been taken as political prisoners by the Zionist entity, not only from Gaza, but also from the West Bank, bringing the total number of Palestinian political prisoners to more than 10,000. Since April 24, more than 300 people have been arrested across the city of LA at campus solidarity encampments, unjustly held in jails and charged for expressing their freedom of speech in the face of injustice. From the militarized policing of campus organizations and demonstrations, to the red tagging and targeting of human rights and land defenders in the Philippines, to the unjust imprisonment and martyrdom of Palestinian resistance fighters, the global imperialist ruling class deploys the same systems, tactics, and arms against all those who resist. So I'm going to lead a really quick chant. UCPD, KKK, IOF, they're all the same.
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 As people and organizations united in our shared struggle for liberation, we know that human rights defenders and freedom fighters around the world are a threat to empire, to fascism, and to oppression. The People's University continues the revolutionary spirit of Palestinian liberation that precedes, survives, and will succeed the ongoing Nakba. ILPS stands in solidarity with the people of Palestine, with the global movement to end the Zionist occupation, and with all those who join the just cause of Palestinian liberation by any means necessary. So we say fight state repression and defend people's struggle. We see clearly the common threat of political repression around the world, the fear of the future in which we win, the future where we share access to land, life, and dignity we fight for together. Now is the time to fight back against the counter-revolutionary and repressive actions taken up by the UC, the fascist police, and the US empire and its Zionist puppets. So I'm going to close us off with some chants, so here we go. From Palestine to the Philippines.
Palestine to the Philippines.
Stop the U.S. war machine.
Stop the U.S. war machine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Long live Palestine.
Long live Palestine.
Free the people, free the land.
Free the people, free the land.
No peace on stolen land.
No peace on stolen land.
Power to the people, we will all be free soon. Join ILPS and support our campaign to defend people's struggle. Thank you.
Yay! Thank you so much to Hannah. Thank you so much to all of our speakers. We're going to have more soon, but we're ready to march. Are we ready to march? Yes. Okay, beautiful. So follow the people in the green and orange security vests. We're going to be heading that way and then turning left. So everyone kind of gather in formation. Let's get ready to move. Yes.
Palestine will be free. From the sea to the river. Palestine will live forever. Intifada, 40,000 dead! Over 40,000 dead! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Intifada! We will not stop, we will not rest! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest! There is only one solution! Intifada revolution! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Protect and serve us. We fear that they do not protect and serve us. They raided us and they, yes, UCPD,
Iowa, they're all the same! UCPD, Iowa, they're all the same! UCPD, Iowa, they're all the same! UCPD, Iowa, they're all the same! UCPD, Iowa, they're all the same! UCPD, Iowa, they're all the same!
fucking agitated and in front of their fucking station right now. These past weeks have shown us that they do not protect and serve us. Who do they protect and serve? Zionism, those in power. They protect those people. They are against our interests. We have to rely on each other as organized masses and organized mass movements and mass organizations. We cannot rely on the police officers. We have to rely on each other. We're gonna chant a little here in front of them and annoy the fuck out of them right now.